All right, so we're going to start in on polynomials, which means multiple terms, because poly means multiple. And we're just going to do addition and subtraction and multiplication. And those are really basic. You pretty much already do it. So I just want to point out, that the exponents have to match up and that kinds of stuff, okay? So there's two ways that you could add or subtract. Vertically means you line up the like terms, so the x cubes line up, the x squareds line up, and the constants in this case. Or horizontally, which means you'll go from left to right, okay? So whichever way you set it up, you still just add the like terms or you subtract the like terms, okay? So in this case, it's addition. So you just go through, and since the like terms line up, it's actually my preferred way. You just say 3 plus, there's an automatic 1 there, so that is 4x cubed, and then negative 2 plus a negative 5 is a negative 7x squared. There's nothing there, so you just bring down the 4x, and negative 3 plus negative 6 plus a positive 3 is a negative 3, okay? So it's just combining your like terms. All right, so then you do the same thing here, except you have to pair them up left to right. So in this case, there is no y to the third. So I am just going to rewrite it, 2y to the third. Okay, then you've got 7y squared, and its pair or partner is negative 4y squared. So we're going to put those together in a second. Then we have negative 6y paired with a positive 3y. Okay, bring the signs with them. And then there's no partner for minus 9, so I'm just going to tack that onto the end. So 2y to the third stays. We combine those two. Positive 7 minus 4 is positive 3. Y squared, because that just tells us that they combine. And then we put these two together, because they're both y's. Negative 6 and positive 3 is minus or negative 3. And then minus 9, because it didn't have a partner, okay? So it's just recognizing like terms and adding them up, okay? And you could set it up either way. So then, you do the same thing for subtraction, except subtraction is going to change your signs. Remember, since subtraction is the opposite of addition, then it actually ends up changing to the opposite. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so for subtracting, you can subtract vertically or you can subtract horizontally. I always change it to adding the opposite because addition is so easy. I'm like, well, let me just put everything into addition form and then it's just going to be as easy as ever. So what I do is I actually change the subtraction to addition, but if you do that, you've got to change the signs behind. Okay, so if you change this to adding, you change all of those to opposites because subtracting is the opposite of addition. So if I make this the opposite, that makes those the opposite. So really the problem is a negative 6x to the third, a negative 3x squared, a positive 7x, and a negative 5. Okay, so if you change this to addition, it changes the signs of all of these terms that are behind it. These ones behind it, the second row, okay? Then we can just add them up. 7 and a negative 6 is 1. So you just can write x cubed. 1x cubed is the same thing. Negative 6 plus negative 3 is negative 9. Negative 3 plus 7 is a positive 4x. And a positive 7 and a negative 5 is a positive 2. So just like the addition, once it's set up, you just combine them with their positives and negatives, make sure it's the like terms, and then that one's done. Okay? Same thing here. I go through and I change it to adding opposites. So I would change this to adding, but then it changes the signs of, let me see what that is. Changes the signs behind it. So then that really becomes minus a 12x squared plus a 9x and plus a 3. It changes all three of these signs behind. Okay? Then you just have to put your like terms together. But the nice thing is that it's just adding up your like terms now. So 8x squared and a negative 12x squared is negative 4x squared. Negative 5x plus 9 is positive 4x. And then the constants, positive 11 and positive 3 is positive 14. Okay, so that's all you're doing here, is you're combining them vertically or horizontally. If you're subtracting, you're just adding opposites. And then whenever you combine, remember, don't change the exponent, just change the coefficients, and you just pair them by the exponents, all right? So let's try the bottom two. Okay, I'm not going to say much because I think you guys are squared away, so you can try them and I'll try them, and then you can just double check yourself. So, that's subtraction, so I want to change it to adding opposites. And I'm actually going to set these up horizontally. No, just kidding. Vertically. Because I like to line things up top to bottom. So now that I changed their signs, I'm going to write it underneath. Boo. It doesn't do much for me. So there's no pair for that. There's no pair for that. There's no pair for that. Well, I guess it is there. There's no partner, so I just put it up front. All right, so I just moved those under, and I lined them up with their like terms. So here is the answer. It's positive, so I put a plus. Now, we don't typically write the answer in this form. We would typically go from highest exponent all the way down to the constant. But since they lined up that way, we'll just leave it like that for right now. And now let's do this one. Okay, so pair up your like terms, combine your coefficients, and don't forget to change subtraction to adding opposites, and everything's going to line up pretty easily for you. All right?